Good morning friends, I am Ashis Agarwal from Team NGOenabler and today I am going to guide and handle you all in filling the new form number 10BB on the income tax portal. I hope you all must have gone through our video on how to fill the new form number 10B and must have found it useful. We actually received a lot of requests for making a similar video for form number 10BB too, and here we are for you all today showing practically how to fill the new form number 10BB. Before we start, let me update you. Earlier, form number 10BB used to be applicable only to the organizations registered under section 1023C, but with effect from assessment year 23-24 relevant to the previous year 22-23, the same has been made applicable to even those organizations which are registered under section 12AB and not fulfilling the eligibility criteria laid down for filing form number 10B in the notification number 7 by 2023. However, if you are still unaware of when to file form number 10B and when to file form number 10BB, please go through our video already published on the channel. Also, there is still one clarification which I would like to clear out in this regard, as it was explained that if the organization has received any foreign contribution of even a single rupee, I repeat, if the organization has received any foreign contribution of even a single rupee, form number 10B shall be applicable. In this regard, we would further like to clarify that the organizations which have not received any foreign donations, I repeat, the organizations which have not received any foreign donation during the year but have only earned interest from the bank on unutilized balance of FCRA funds, even in such a scenario, form number 10B shall be applicable and not form number 10BB. The reason being, interest earned on FCRA funds have been specifically included in the definition of foreign contribution under FCRA 2010. Moving on to the topic, let's start where you will find the utility for this form number 10BB.
Unlike utility of form number 10B, it's not available in the downloads section of the income tax e-filing website. You see, only the schema has been released here and not the utility. So the question is where you can find the utility of form number 10BB. So let's start. You first need to log in through the income tax portal of the organization. Then you need to move to the e-file tab, there income tax forms and file income tax forms. When you click on it, the third section, there you can find form 10BB assessment year 23-24 onwards. This is the old version of form number 10BB and this is the new version which is applicable for financial year 22-23. Click on file now. You can see here the PAN has automatically filled. Click on filing type as original. In assessment year, there will be only one assessment year which is reflected now, which is 23-24. If you have already added the CA's name, it will be reflected here. Otherwise, you can click on add new CA, give the membership number and click on add. Confirm. The CA is already added by you because this CA was already added by the organization. So let's go back. Select the name of the CA. You can attach here any document related to the financials, which is balance sheet, income expenditure, I'm just selecting any one of the PDFs here for just for your understanding sake, and just click here balance sheet and just click on continue. So when you click on continue and go to dashboard, so you will find there is no form which is there on the screen. So where you will find it? Log out from the organization's portal and log in through the CS portal. So since this form has to be filled by the chartered accountants, they need to log in through their login credentials. Since you have added this person as a CA, you need to go to pending actions and work list. You will find the details of the organization where you have added form number 10BB. Click on accept. Once you accept it, go back to the work list and there you will find it for your action form number 10BB. The details of the organizations will be auto-filled here and it will show as pending for filing. Click on upload form. You see here submission mode is online. Click on continue. Then click on let's get started. You can see the utility of the form has been divided into 9 parts, unlike the utility of form number 10B, which was of 21 parts. The first 8 parts of form number 10B contains the clauses which the auditor has to fill, and the last one is the attachment where the organization or the auditor is required to enclose the documents with form number 10BB. So let's begin by checking out each section individually. First is report from an accountant. Click on provide details. Here you will select I or V depending on the status of the audit firm. If the audit firm is a proprietorship, then you have to select I, or if it's a partnership or LLP or a company, then select V. Here, if the auditor has any observations or qualifications, click on add details and the remarks can be given here. Then you need to select whether it's a fund, trust, institution, university, other educational institution, hospital, other medical institution. This option was not there in form number 10B. So let's select trust. You will see the details of the chartered accountant, his membership number and the address is auto-filled. Give the firm's registration number. Select the place. And here the date of the audit report where you have signed should be given, or you can also give the date of furnishing the form number 10BB, which is today or tomorrow whenever you are uploading it. Click on save. You will see here completed with a green tick. So when all the sections will be completed, then this preview option will be available and then you can generate a JSON file. Let's move on to the next section. Basic details, legal status and management. Click on provide details. You can see the details of the organizations, the assessment year, previous year, the registered address is already auto-filled. The other addresses, if you go in this note I, here it's written provide the address which has been decided by the management by way of resolution and which has been intimated to the jurisdictional assessing officer in writing within 7 days of such resolution. So if you have any other address where the books of accounts are kept or the registered office has changed, only then you need to select yes, otherwise you need to select no. If you select yes, the other address has to be given completely. So let's select no. The type of auditee, whether it's a trust, society or a section 8 company. So let's select trust here. Whether the auditee is established under an instrument. So if your trust is registered, only then you select yes. In case of society, there is no other option. In case of company, also there is no other option. You have to select yes because it's mandatory to get your society and Section 8 company registered. In case of trust, you can also get it notarized. So if it's a notarized trust deed, you select no. Otherwise, you need to select yes. In clause number 9, details of authors, founders, settler, trustee, members. So here the governing body details or the board of trustees or the board of directors has to be given along with the details of any shareholder if he is holding more than 5%. So suppose I fill one details for your understanding. Whether there is any change in the relation during the previous year of audit. This option was also there in form number 10B. So if this person was a secretary or a president in previous financial year, but in this financial year 22-23, his designation is changed to treasurer, you need to select yes and specify what change has been done. Otherwise, you select no. Click on save. You see here the completed with a green tick has again come. Now the third section, commencement of activities and details of place where books of accounts and other documents have been maintained. In clause number 10, you need to give the details if the organization is registered provisionally under section 12AB and whether it has commenced the activities during the previous year 22-23. If your organization was already registered under section 12A or 12AA earlier and you have renewed the registration for 5 years, then you need to select no. But if your organization is registered provisionally for 3 years and has commenced its activities during the previous year 22-23, then you need to select yes. Once you select yes, you need to give the date of commencement of activities. Suppose I give 15th June 2022. Then in point number 3 of clause number 10, you also need to give the details whether the approval for the final registration or the application for final registration has been filed or not. If you select yes, then the date of application has to be filled. So as you all know, you need to apply for final approval within 6 months of the commencement of the activities or expiry of 3 years, whichever is earlier. So since you have given the date as 15th June 2022 for the commencement of activities, within 6 months you should have filed the application for final registration. So let's select 23rd November. But remember, if you were already registered under section 12A or 12AA and you have renewed your registration for 5 years, then in point number 10, in clause number 10, you need to select no. In clause number 11, they are asking whether the books of accounts and the other documents have been kept or maintained in the form and manner and at such place as prescribed under Rule 17AA by the auditee. In this regard, we have already released a video, mandatory books of accounts specified, which was released via notification number 94 by 2022 on 10th August 2022. Specified books of accounts which was mandatory for all the NGOs to maintain. Here if you select yes, then whether the books of accounts are maintained at registered office or not is being asked. So here again you can select yes. If you remember my video on form number 10B, where this clause was there for the books of accounts, we have to select individual books also which was maintained by the organization, like ledger, cash book, record of properties, record of application of income. So all that was asked in form number 10B via a drop down, and whether it was computerized or not, all this was asked. But in form number 10BB, they are only asking whether the books of accounts are maintained and whether it is maintained at the registered office. Click on save. Then let's move on to the fourth section, voluntary and other contributions. Here again, it is asked whether auditee has filed form number 10BD. So this point is applicable to those organizations which are registered under section 80G and have filed form number 10BD. If you are not registered under section 80G at all, then form 10BD was not applicable to you and you need to select no. But since this trust was registered under section 80G, I am selecting yes. Then some total of donations reported in form number 10BD furnished by the auditee for previous year. So what was the total donations you fill in form 10BD? Suppose I fill here 1 lakh. Then in point number 14, it is asked donations not reported in form number 10BD or not required to fill in form number 10BD. Here you need to include even the foreign donations, because if you see point number 16, it's stated here total foreign contribution out of total voluntary contribution stated in point number 15, which is the addition of 13 and 14. So let's fill here 50,000. You see the total voluntary contribution is auto filled to 1,50,000, and out of this total 1,50,000, how much is the foreign contribution? Suppose I select here 25,000. Now if you remember, in form number 10B, when we used to fill this point, donations not reported in form number 10BD, you need to also select or give one of the reasons which was listed in form number 10B, that why those donations were not reported in form number 10BD. But in form number 10BB, they are not asking you the reason. They are only asking you the amount which was not reported in form number 10BD. Now, if there is any voluntary contribution, you need to fill the amount here. Suppose it's not there. Then for anonymous donations, you need to fill clause number 18. Let's select 0. If there is any application which you have done outside India, give the amount here. So I am selecting 0 for the time being. And if you have any other income other than the voluntary contribution, which usually the auditor shows as other income, or if you have any school fees or any hostel fees, etc., etc., then you need to fill it here, or even bank interest. So suppose let's fill here 15,000. So your total income becomes 1,65,000. Click on save. Now is the section related to application of income. In application of income, the first point, total amount applied for charitable or religious purpose in India during the previous year. So here the total application for the year has to be filled. Suppose you applied 1,20,000. Or suppose let's make it below 85% so that I am able to fill the other points also. Let's make it 90,000. Amount which was not actually paid during the previous year. Then in point number 3, it is amount actually paid during the previous year which accrued during any earlier previous year but not claimed as an application of income in earlier previous year. Why this point number 2 and point number 3 is included in form number 10BB? The auditor has to report on such amounts which was not actually paid during the previous year, or it was paid during the previous year which relates to the expense incurred in the earlier previous year. Because in the previous budgets, there was an amendment that the application of income shall be allowed only on payment basis. So if the organization is following accrual system of accounting, which we also say mercantile system of accounting, and has not paid for any expense but has only made a provision for it, then that amount has to be filled in point number 2. If there is any amount for which only a provision has been made but has not been actually paid and it is included in this 90,000, only then you have to fill the amount in point number 2. So let's fill 0 for the time being. And in point number 3, if suppose the organization made a provision in the earlier previous year and has paid that amount in this previous year, that is 22-23, then that will be allowed as an application in this year because it was not allowed as an application of income in the earlier previous year. So let's fill 0 for the time being. Now again point number 5 and point number 6, this was an amendment in the previous budgets that if you remember, and we have also made a video on it, that if you have made any application out of the corpus or if you have made any application out of the loans or borrowings funds, then those will not be allowed as an application but shall be allowed only in the year in which you have invested or deposited back in the corpus or you have repaid the loan or borrowing. So let's select 0. Then if you have any disallowances, you need to fill point number 7 and point number 8. So point number 7 is all about if you have not deducted TDS on any payments on which you should have deducted, you need to give that amount here in point number 7. And point number 8 relates to cash payment above 10,000. So let's select 0, no, no. Then if you have given any donation to other organizations, other registered organizations towards their corpus. So again, it's not an allowable expense for you because of the amendment which was there in the previous budgets. Then if you have given any donation to the registered organizations not having the same objects, again it's a disallowable expense. And point number 11 relates to donations given to any trust or institution which is not registered in the section 11 or 12 or 1023C. So let's give 0 for the time being in all these because you have not, this trust has not made any application outside India also. It has not applied for any purpose beyond the objects, any other disallowances. Then comes point number 17. Amount deemed to have been applied during the previous year under clause 2 of explanation 1 to subsection 1 of section 11, which we usually say as option exercise amount. And point number 18, which relates to subsection 2 of section 11, which we usually call as accumulation or set apart amount for a specified purpose. For point number 17, the amount which we fill here, we usually file form 9A, and for point number 18 we file form number 10. So as I said here while filling the application, let's keep it below 85%. So if you remember, our total donation was 1,65,000 and 85% if we have not applied during the previous year, this 90,000 is of course below the 85% amount of 1,65,000. So for the rest amount, either we need to fill in point number 17 or 18 depending on what we have done. So suppose I fill here 15,000. So for this 15,000, you have to fill form number 9A. And the rest amount will come here in point number 19, which is the statutory accumulation of 15% allowed. Suppose I fill a 50,000. I am not doing the calculations. I am just filling the amount and guiding you on which amount to fill in which point number. Let's click on save. Then let's move on to application of income out of different sources. So now what details we have filled in the application of income, we have to define the sources from where we have applied that income. So application of income out of different sources. Now again, as I also pointed out in form number 10B, there is one point missing in the sources for the application of income. That is the income which is derived during the previous year. So I think this is a technical issue in both the forms and needs to be resolved as soon as possible so that the correct information goes in form number 10B and 10BB. So for the time being, in the sources, let's fill the entire source as income of earlier previous year up to 15% accumulated or set apart. So when you need to fill part A and part B, If there was an accumulation under section 11.2 for a specified purpose in the earlier previous year, that is financial year 21-22 or 2021, which you usually has to spend within 5 years of the accumulation, and if you have spent out of that accumulation during this previous year, only then you have to fill the amount in part A, and in part B you need to fill the amount when you have filed form 9A in previous year 21-22 and have spent that money in the financial year 22-23. So we have included that amount in the application of income. So here you need to fill the amount only when there was form 9A in the previous year. If you have utilized the corpus, if you have utilized the loans and borrowings, which is not usually allowed, so then you have to fill the sources of funds, the amount in this part number D and part E. Then comes the section persons referred to in 13.3. Again, this is a specified person details. So if you now again you see here they have made it mandatory, which should not be, because if the organization has paid any money or spent any money towards the benefit of any specified persons, only then these details has to be filled. But since they have made it mandatory, we need to fill for at least one specified person. Now this has been listed as per section 13.3, which was not there in form number 10B. So suppose let's select the author of the trust or the founder. Click on add and let's select no. If you have paid any rent for the use of the property of the specified person, there are many options. If you have given any salary or allowance to any specified person, but remember it's written here and the amount so paid is in excess of what may be reasonably paid for such services. It's not only making payment of salary or allowance to the specified person, but as per the auditor or the organization, that amount, if it is in excess of what may be reasonably paid, only then you have to report it here. The onus is obviously on the organization to prove that it is a reasonable payment. That's why it's not reported in form number 10BB. If you have done any specified violation, this point was also there in form number 10B. Only then you need to fill point number 30 and its parts. Otherwise, we can select no. The specified violations, we have specifically made a video on it, that if the organization has spent towards a specific religious community or the expenses incurred by the organization does not inure for the benefit of the public, or if it is carrying on any business activity which is not incidental to the attainments of its objectives and also not maintaining separate books of accounts, only then there is a specified violation and these points have to be filled. Then is the last section of form number 10BB, depreciation claim, TDS and TCS. So in point number 31, if you have claimed any depreciation, only then you have to fill it. So let's click no, because as per the amendment already made in the act, depreciation should not be claimed as an application if you are claiming the entire purchase amount as an application of income. In point number 32, only if the organization have a registered TAN, which means the organization is deducting TDS on its contractors or professionals on whatever payment it's applicable, only then you have to click yes and fill the details which is asked, that I explained in the form number 10B also. You have to give your TAN, the nature of payment, whether it is a salary or whether it is payment to contractors or whether it is rent or whether it is payment to any professional, and what is the total amount of such payment, total amount on which tax was required to be deducted, total amount on which tax was deducted, then the amount of tax, and all these details has to be filled. So for the time being, let's keep it no. And then if you have paid any interest for late payment of TDS, then you have to click yes and give the details. click on save. Now you see all the sections have a green tick mark and completed is mentioned. The last section is about attachments. So what attachment you have to give here? Income and expenditure account or profit and loss account, balance sheet, and any miscellaneous attachments. In the miscellaneous attachments, you can always attach some schedules, or you can avoid it also because it's not a mandatory field. So at least income, expenditure, and balance sheet has to be attached here. So I am attaching, just for the sake of attaching, I am just attaching a PDF files. Click on save, and you see all the sections are completed. So once all the sections are completed, the preview button will become live. You can just check your form whether it is filled correctly or not and proceed to e-verify.
Hope you found this video useful and we have been able to educatedly guide you in filling of new form number 10BB. For more details, you can log on to our website or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram and Facebook. For any queries, feel free to contact us through email or comment below. Thank you.